Who were the original benders? This has always been a very contentious topic ever since The Legend of Korra was released. This is because in The Legend of Korra we see all of the benders receive the elements from the lion turtles. But in Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's implied that all of the benders learn their abilities from the original benders, being the sky bison, dragons, badger moles, and the moon respectively. Firstly, we know that humans can't be the only beings in existence that have the ability to bend. Not just because of the sky bison, the badger moles, and the dragons, but also because we see spirits able to bend. We see Yue as the moon spirit waterbending, and we even see Wan Shi-tong using earthbending in that episode. So I believe the ability to bend must not just originate with the lion turtles, but somewhere else. This probably has something to do with energy bending, but I don't really have a fully fleshed out theory regarding that. However, what I can say for certain is that humans did receive all of the bending ability from the lion turtles. But even so, there were still dragons, badger moles, sky bisons, and obviously the moon to teach humans how to bend after they got their ability to bend. Does everyone reincarnate in Avatar: The Last Airbender? We know the Avatar is capable of accessing their past lives through the Avatar state, and once they die, they will be reborn to the next element in the cycle. But what about normal humans? We know some characters are capable of transcending to become spirits after their death. This would seem to imply only the Avatar reincarnates. However, it is stated that the souls of the past Avatars exist within the spirit world. I would wager characters like Yue and Iroh did reincarnate, but upon their death had enough spiritual energy to manifest a new spirit entirely. When Wan dies, he thinks he failed to bring balance to the world, but Raava tells him that she'll be with him for all of his lifetimes. Not only does the use of the word his imply that Wan would be reincarnating, whether or not they were fused, but he also doesn't question this, which seems to imply that reincarnation is already a concept before the first Avatar. It was planned for Momo to be the reincarnation of Monk Gyatso. However, this was scrapped. This may be the closest we come to a definitive answer about reincarnation in non-avatars. It's also speculated that Fang, Appa, and Naga were all the reincarnations of Mula. So yes, all humans probably do reincarnate. This was requested in my comments. If you want me to answer anything else, please comment below. The Avatar reincarnates into a new nation in a specific pattern. So what will happen when the next Avatar is supposed to reincarnate to the Air Nomad? Well, we don't exactly know, but we can make a few extrapolations based on the Legend of Korra. We know that harmonic convergence gifted a bunch of people with the ability to airbend after the imbalance of the genocide. I think that this is a sort of one and done event, and now all the airbenders of the world will go on to repopulate. So the most probable answer is that the next Air Avatar will be born from the descendants of one of these people. However, it is possible that the Avatar cycle would not recognize these new airbenders as a true Air Nomad due to their heritage being from another nation. This could mean that the next Air Nomad Avatar has to be born from the descendants of Tenzin. This would be the only true Air Nomad genetically speaking. There is also a third option. From the Kyoshi novels, we know that some of the Air Nomads ditched the temples and lived on their own or in other nations. There is a possibility that some of the people from the Water Tribe, Fire Nation, and Earth Kingdoms have Air Nomad ancestors. The most likely answer is that the next Air Avatar will come from the reborn Air Nomads established by Tenzin and Avatar Korra. Why could Korra airbend after her bending was removed? In the finale of the first season of Legend of Korra, we see Avatar Korra get her bending taken away by Amon. After this, she's no longer able to water, earth, or firebend. Amon's ability to remove bending came from his power with bloodbending. According to the art book of the first season of Korra, Amon did this by disrupting a bender's chi. This is a similar technique utilized by the chi blockers like Ty Lee, only used with waterbending. We learned that for Aang to master the Avatar state, he needed to open up all of his chakras. Chakras are clusters of chi contained throughout the body in specific locations. My theory is that Amon was capable of blocking the chakras that were already opened by a bender, and that Korra's air chakra was only opened after she lost her ability to bend. The air chakra deals with love and is blocked by grief. What holds Korra back from unlocking this chakra is her fear of losing her bending. She is deeply attached to the physical world. Once she's gone through the grief of losing her bending, she can finally experience an empathetic love towards Mako. Her air chakra was open and she used her ability to stop him from experiencing the same fate as her. In the finale of Book 2, Unalaq manages to remove Raava from Korra and sever her connection to her past lives. Earlier in the season, we learned that Wan needed to fuse with Raava in order to have the strength to bend all 4 elements. So then why can Korra still use airbending after Raava is destroyed? There isn't a straightforward explanation, but my theory is that Raava only needed to fuse with Wan so that Wan could be powerful enough to receive the bending abilities and defeat Vaatu. The Lion Turtle tells Aang that they used to bend the energy within themselves, and to use energy bending, one spirit must be unbendable. This could be why Wan needed Raava, to keep his spirit from being destroyed every time he received a new element from the Lion Turtles using energy bending. Wan would then pass down his ability to bend all of the elements to the next incarnation. This had to have been intentional because the entire finale is written around Korra energy bending her own spirit to create an astral form, an ability she only gained from Aang during the events of Sozin's Comet. Therefore, we can assume even if Raava was removed and destroyed and never reconnected with Korra, Korra would still be able to bend all 4 elements plus energy bending. Is Suyin Sokka's daughter? I think either way I go on this, I'm gonna ruffle some feathers. The father of Toph's second child, Suyin, is never made clear. We know that Suyin and Lin are half-sisters, and Lin's father was a man named Kanto. The most popular fan theory makes Suyin the daughter of Toph and Sokka. This is controversial, seeing that Sokka ended the series with Suki and never showed any interest in Toph. The main supporting evidence is that Toph shows an interest in Sokka during the series, and Suyin's skin tone and possible personality more closely aligns with Sokka than with Toph. We see plenty of Earth Kingdom characters with darker skin tones, and likewise Water Tribe members with lighter skin tones. And for personality, she may be more like Sokka compared to Toph and Lin, but I don't really see her being that similar to Sokka. Namely, why isn't it ever mentioned in the series? And wouldn't Tenzin, Bumi, and Kaya treat Opal as a relative? Still, I would argue that the only way this works is if Toph and Sokka had a one-night stand, and then Toph either never told Sokka Suyin was his daughter, which ruins Toph's character, or Sokka decides not to integrate Suyin into his family, which ruins Sokka's character. Is Izumi Mei's daughter? Izumi is the Fire Lord during Korra's time, mother of General Iroh and daughter of Prince Zuko. We never find out her mother's true identity. This has fueled a lot of speculation because Zuko and Mei broke up in the comics after the show and still haven't gotten back together at the time of this recording. As for the evidence in the show and the comics, although we have very little information, I speculate Mei probably is the mother of Izumi. I say this not only because of the striking physical resemblance and attitude Izumi shares with Mei and even Mei's parents Michi and Ukano, but also the evidence we have in the comics. Although Zuko and Mei have been separated for quite a while in real life, in the comics timeline it's only really been a couple of months at the most, and Mei and Zuko both seem to have lingering feelings toward one another. Mei only broke up with Zuko because she learned that he was visiting his father in prison. Although this was a breach of her trust, I don't really feel like it's a good reason to break up with someone forever, because honestly this was more about Zuko's family, and it's kind of understandable why Zuko wouldn't tell other people. I think their relationship will probably be re-established in one of the upcoming comics, so the most likely answer is Izumi's parents are Zuko and Mei. How did Yan-Ra know that the South had a waterbender? In a flashback in the episode The Southern Raiders, Commander Yan-Ra was tasked to capture all of the waterbenders in the Southern Water Tribe. He mentioned to Kaya that his sources revealed that there was one last waterbender in the South. This was true, but Kaya lied, saying that she was the last waterbender, in order to protect Katara. But how did Yan-Ra find out that there was one last waterbender? This is never given a direct answer in the show, but the first assumption is there must have been some sort of informant within the Southern Water Tribe, but there is no clear culprit. However, from an old Nick.com site for Avatar: The Last Airbender, reveals that Hakoda had began searching for a master for Katara to learn waterbending when she started showing the ability. We can speculate that Hakoda traveled from the South Pole to the Earth Kingdom and tried to locate another waterbender. In doing this, he would have asked around. This is likely where a Fire Nation informant picked up the idea that there was still a waterbender in the South Tribe. It would make Hakoda indirectly responsible for his wife's death. Which of the 8 known avatars is the most powerful? Number 8 is Zito. He was mostly a diplomat, but he could at least lava bend. Number 7 is Kurik. He was powerful in waterbending and earthbending, but was plagued by spiritual corruption. This caused him to neglect his typical duties as avatar and left the world a mess for his successor Kyoshi. Number 6 is Wan. He was powerful enough to defeat Vaatu. He admitted to Raava that he failed when he was dying. Number 5 is Roku. Roku was no doubt a very powerful avatar, and allowed his friendship with Fire Lord Sozin to cloud his judgment. Number 4 is Yang Jen. While being an air nomad, she was still willing to do whatever it took to fulfill her duties. Number 3 is Korra, the first avatar to use spirit bending and metal bending, and chose to leave the spirit portals open, forever altering the fate of the avatar world. Number 2 is Aang. He mastered airbending before even finding out he was the avatar. He was the first avatar to discover energy bending. Number 1 is Kyoshi. Kyoshi could freeze people's hearts with water bending and split islands from the mainland using earth and air bending. She found the secret to immortality. Number 9 is War Minister Chin. He didn't invent anything himself, but developed the Mechanist and Sokka's idea into a full fleet of war balloons and the drill. Number 8 is Batar. He wasn't an inventor per se, but he was an architect responsible for the design of Zaofu's Dome City. Number 7 is Batar Jr. He developed the most impressive thing in the series, Kavira's Colossus Mecha. However, there was no way he could have accomplished this alone. Number 6 is Julie Moon. She doesn't invent anything outright, but is a skilled engineer and was vital in assisting Barrack and later Batar Jr. Number 5 is Asami Sato. She was more of a businesswoman and an engineer than an inventor. However, she did develop some impressive things. Number 4 is Sokka. Without his ingenuity, the war balloon would have never been invented. Number 3, the Mechanist. We see various inventions traced back to him, including the drill, submarines, gliders, the hot air balloon, and probably even the wheelchair. Number 2 is Hiroshi Sato, responsible for the Sotomobile, biplanes, the electrified glove, electrified batons, and mecha tanks. Number 1, Ichnik Blackstone Varrick. Varrick is definitely number 1, solely based on his ability to harness the power of the spirit vine. Other applications include the development of electromagnetism for things like trains and EMP. Yes, this is a real list. Number 5 is Sozin. Azulon's age at death was confirmed to be 95. This means he was born at the Air Nomad genocide, and Sozin conceived him while he was in his 80s, and he's only number 5 on this list. Number 4 is Ta Min / Roku. Unless Rina was over the age of 80 when her daughter Ursa was born. But even if Rina was 100 years old when she had Ursa, Ta Min and Roku still would have been over 50 years old. Number 3 is Rina. The comic book really messes up the timeline on this one. The latest she could have been conceived is 12 years before the Air Nomad genocide. It seems Ursa is in her 20s when she wed Ozai. Even if we make her the oldest possible age at 29, then Rina still would have conceived Ursa when she was at least 66 years old. Oof. Number 2 is Kyoshi. Avatar Kyoshi passed on the title of governor to her daughter. If her daughter, named Coco, was 100 years old when she received the title, this still would have made Kyoshi 130 at least when she had Coco. Number 1 is Aang. Aang was trapped in an iceberg for 100 years. He had his youngest son Tenzin when he was a whopping age of 132 years old. Which of the elements was the most powerful? Number 5 is air. Even though great feats were accomplished using airbending, such as flight and suffocation, these skills don't match the greatest feats of the other 4 elements. Number 4 is fire. Fire was the only element that could be generated by the bender. There are many subskills that prove destructive, like lightning generation and combustion bending. Number 3 is earth. With subsets like metal bending and lava bending, some of the strongest benders of all time, like Avatar Kyoshi and Toph Beifong, use this element. Number 2 is water. Water is the strongest of the 4 traditional elements. Water was nearly ubiquitous, present in the air, plants, and in every human being. Spirit bending and healing are accomplished using this ability. Blood bending is the most powerful subset in the series. Number 1 is energy. We only see lion turtles, Korra, and Aang use this element, but it was what gave every bender their ability to begin with. There is likely much more about this power we don't know. Which of the bending subskills is the most powerful? Number 10, spiritual projection. This ability has limited use, even outside of combat. Number 9, healing. Helpful, but it seems pretty limited in its capacity. Number 8 is flight. There are other methods of accomplishing this, even for airbenders. Number 7 is seismic sense. This is a master level technique used to great effect by Toph Beifong. Number 6 is combustion bending. The fact that the only people who die from this ability are the ones that use it says a lot about its destructiveness. Number 5 is lightning generation and redirection. I'm lumping these two together. Lightning can instantly kill someone who isn't skilled in lightning redirection. Number 4, metal bending. This may not seem as powerful as the last two, but metal bending revolutionized the world in Legend of Korra. Number 3 is lava bending. This skill can be used to create an entire island, not to mention completely destroying one of the Air Nomad temples. Number 2 is spirit bending. If used on a human being, it has the potential to destroy their soul. Number 1 is blood bending. Puppeteering around a human body using water through their muscles is one of the most messed up things to ever appear in a children's cartoon.